Alright, in today's video we're going to look at all three Boss 500 series pedals, the RV500, MD500 and DD500 in conjunction, and 5 things that you can do with them tonally, just as a starting point. So for the video I am using my 77 Strat, which has Sir ML pickups in it, playing straight into a Fractal AX8 for all the amp tones, and then from there we have got the pedals sitting in a loop of the AX8. And this is the neck pickup and the middle pickup. It sounds like this. And let's start with some stock standard settings. I have just the stock digital chorus on the MD500, the standard delay on the DD500, and the room reverb on the RV500. Let's add them one at a time, starting with the reverb. Let's have a listen to the dry sound again, and then I will go reverb, delay, chorus in that order. And the front panel controls are pretty self-explanatory on each of these units. If we start with the reverb, you can see that you have a control for pre-delay, level, low, and high. And let's just have a listen to what each of those do. Obviously the level is going to control the amount of affected signal, but it doesn't actually control the blend like on a lot of other pedals. So your dry signal's preserved here, and the level is just going to blend in the amount of reverb you want, totally independent of your dry signal, which stays the same. So again, dry signal. And I always find with a room reverb, I only like a little bit. And then I also like to add a little bit of pre-delay, say around 60 milliseconds, which sounds pretty cool. And then we can use the low and high controls basically to dial in, I would describe it as how sort of sparkly you want the reverb to sound, even though that is a really nebulous term. Basically cutting out a little bit of the low decay and boosting a little bit of the high decay is what I like to do. So that's going to make it sound brighter. If we do the opposite, you get this. And with a high level and a really high decay time, this is going to be really good for ambient stuff, like so. And personally, I would add a little bit of feedback to that. I have got this set up as a dotted eighth delay, and the way I've done that is I've hit edit, which brings up this menu. I can hit edit again on patch, and I can scroll down using this big knob. Sorry, I want to leave that there. I actually don't want to use the big knob. I want to use these two controls here down to the note value, which I can change through a bunch of different values. As you can see there, I've got it set on a dotted eighth, because that way, if I tap the tempo, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I get that kind of edge 80s sort of thing happening, which I really like from a digital delay. If a digital delay can do that, I am going to be pretty happy. So let's leave that set where it is. I will dial the tone back a little bit because that will make it sound, it'll help it sit a little bit more with the main guitar. And then we can use the depth control to add a little bit of modulation. And again, if you want to change the rate of that modulation, just hit edit twice and we can move down until we get to the rate control, which is right here, mod rate. I'm going to turn that down a little bit. I like quite a high depth and a low rate for a modulated delay. Sounds like this. So it's quite subtle. Now let's move on to the MD500 and add a chorus sound. My favorite setting on this is the Dimension chorus, which emulates the famous Roland rack mount Dimension chorus, and then Boss also did a pedal version, which rather than have controls just had 4 different switches. So this is really easy to use because you just have the 4 different dimension modes right there. So this is what Dimension number 1 sounds like. So that is one way we could build a really basic rig using these 3 pedals. However, we can do some really cool stuff with it as well. Let's get into some of the special effects. One of my favorite settings on the RV500 is obviously the shimmer reverb. So I'm so stoked that Boss have finally released a pedal that does the shimmer reverb. This is just the stock shimmer setting. And what I like to do there is add as much pre-delay as I possibly can. We can get, what do we got, 100 milliseconds? We can do nearly 200 milliseconds. It sounds like this. And then we can also balance out the low and the high controls. If we want a really bright shimmer, we can turn the high control up. And I'm going to actually turn the decay up using the big knob here so we get a couple of seconds. Let's listen to that. This is awesome. So that one sounds pretty sweet. I'm going to leave that there. I haven't even had to touch any of the pitch effects or anything like that. On the DD500, I'm going to go to the Terra Echo mode. Boss released this as a standalone pedal, and I remember having a play around with that. At a clinic years ago, actually, there was somebody demonstrating them, and I really, really liked this pedal. So let's just flick that on at the stock settings, have a listen to what it sounds like. and that sounds absolutely amazing. Let's go to the MD500. Another pedal that Boss released at a similar time was the overtone pedal. I forget what the actual model name was, but I owned that one. I really, really liked it. So basically, when you have a listen to it, it is going to blend in a sub-octave and a high octave, as well as a sort of swell kind of sound. It's really unique. It almost kind of can do some like organ simulation stuff. So let's just turn that on and have a listen to what that does. Another thing we do with the delay is use the sound effects delay. If you hit the edit button and go into the edit menu, you can see that you've got a bunch of cool parameters to tweak. For example, we've obviously got the waveform, which we can set, or the type as either a tremolo or a phaser. I'm going to set it to a phaser, and then we can adjust the depth. Let's crank the depth on that and turn the rate down. And then we can also adjust the sample rate, which is pretty cool. So let's turn these two off and just have a listen to what this sound effects delay does. So that sounds absolutely wild. Let's get rid of the shimmer and we'll use this space echo, which is, again, it's an echo rather than an actual reverb. So let's have a listen to this. And let's use a slicer on the MD500. So that's a pretty crazy sounding rig right there. We've had a really sort of stock standard one and two wild ones. So let's go back and let's emulate kind of like a late 70s, early 80s Police kind of thing. So let's stick with the chorus here. And what's really nice about the stock standard chorus, you have these two controls called sweetness and bell. I'll turn these two off and we'll just have a listen to what each of them does. This is with both of them on 0. So I really like what the sweetness control does there. You can hear the bell is kind of adding some overtones in there, which is really nice. So I'll leave the bell at around 9 o'clock and the sweetness all the way up to 3 o'clock. That sounds pretty cool at the moment. Doing that big fat C1 kind of thing. Let's go and add some echo now. I'm going to use the analog mode, or am I going to use the tape mode? Let's use the tape mode, why not? Let's just have a listen to how the tape mode sounds on its own. And we can see in the advanced parameters here, we have a few really cool controls. We can change the type of tape echo. We can choose between the Roland 201 or an echoplex style thing. So let's go with an echoplex. Oh, we've also got a Benson Echo Rec in there, so they're probably the 3 most requested tape delays. Let's stick with the echoplex. Let's have a listen to that. You can hear it's got that classic echoplex delay thing going on. If we scroll down to the advanced parameters, we can actually adjust the wow and flutter. So if I turn those up a little bit, that is doing what a tape echo should do. That's really, really cool. And further down, we've got EQ controls and low damping and high damping and ducker and all these kind of things, which I'm just simply not going to use here. So that's a pretty cool echo sound already, just by having listened to the echoplex mode. By comparison, here's the Echo Rec. So with the Echo Rec, selecting the disc head gives you longer and longer delay times. It also kind of changes the tone of the delay as well. So again, sticking with the echoplex, I love the way that sounds. And let's go in and add a nice plate style reverb. Stock settings, I'm actually going to turn the pre-delay down quite a lot on this one, so we'll set that to about 40 milliseconds. We'll turn the effect level up. Let's have a listen to that on its own so far. So I've brought the effect level down and the overall decay time down, just so it doesn't clash too hard with what we are doing on the guitar. So reverb on its own. So that's what it sounds like. I've been using a lot of clean tones. I'm going to fire up a distorted sound and we will dial in a sweet lead sound, kind of in the sort of John Petrucci vein. So let me dial up a different amp and we'll have a listen to what to do with our effect settings. Alright, I'm still playing the Strat, but here is a distorted sound on the neck pickup. And I'm going to dial in a dual delay here. With the dual delay, we have a really cool selection between different modes. I'm going to set them in parallel. And what I really like about this pedal is you can have different delay types for each of the delay lines. So you can choose between standard, analog, or tape for each of them. So you might have like a digital delay and a tape delay, or an analog delay and a tape delay, or something like that. So what I'm going to do is set them both to analog because I like the overall tonality of the analog delay. And then we've got this dual link, which means that I can set one delay and then have the other delay to automatically be a certain ratio of what's going on. So I've got that going on there. I've set the delay 2 time to 75% because I think that sounds pretty cool in stereo. And from there, let's just have a listen to what happens when I add this lead delay. So I'm going to turn the effect level down a little bit as well as the feedback. I'm going to turn the depth down as well and the tone just so it blends in a bit better again. So I'm pretty happy with that. The other thing that we can do, if we don't want the delay to get in the way of our lead playing, we can adjust the ducker. So when we go all the way down, we get the EQ section, high frequency dampening, and the ducker. So let's do this. We've got ducker pre-depth, post-depth, and the ducker sensitivity. So what I'm going to do, let's just play around and we will turn both of these up a little bit. Sensitivity set to 50, and it does this. So that means I can crank the level higher so that when I am not playing, the delay is going to be nice and loud. And that is a sweet sounding lead delay. What I want to add in now is a little bit of hall reverb just for some lushness. So we're going to keep the level quite low here. Let's have a listen to what happens when we turn the hall reverb on without the delay. With the delay, and finally what we're going to do is add a little bit of the dimension effect. So I've got it set to stereo. I'm just going to go dimension 1 here. Let's have a listen to what that does. And that totally blows it out. It sounds really, really wild and wide. So that's a fifth thing that we can do. We can get a really phenomenally wide, big lead guitar sound using this combination of 3 pedals. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment and hit the subscribe button. All your support goes a long way to building this channel up. Thank you so much.